Let's just imagine that you are all sitting here because I want to tell you now 2 stories, and it's much easier for me to tell stories while I'm listened and while I can see in your face and in your eyes. So the first story I want to tell you about, it's about Marikaneni. Marikaneni lives in a very, very little town in Romania. I would prefer to call it village, but please don't tell the mayor this. You should know about Marikaneni that she is like 70 years old. She has this short gray hair. She loves to eat, which is quite visible on her shape. It doesn't mean that she's fat. She's just, it's really visible that she enjoys food. And she also has a tattoo on her left arm. During the summertime, she doesn't wear bra. I know this because I know her during the summertime. Oh, what else? What we have to know about Marikaneni? Marikaneni was a cook. And I met her while I was facilitating an international youth exchange in this little, not village, but town in Romania, where international young people came along from Lithuania, Latvia, Greece, Hungary, and Romania. And as you know, that young people nowadays have all sorts of diets. They are intolerant of anything, of everything. But luckily, in this group of 30 people, we were just 5 vegetarians and 1 vegan. Yes, thank you for this laughter. Marikaneni was just expecting this news. What that means, being vegan. As I was a facilitator, I didn't want to take care of the food business. So on the first evening when we had the dinner and all the meat eaters got this Romanian traditional food like mici, 3 pieces with French fries, with ketchup and mustard. All the vegetarians and vegans got 1 freezed soy patty and 2 really, really thin slices of courgette. Well, actually, the pieces were quite equal, but not the actually amount. So this was the point when I realized that I really have to sit down with Marikaneni and discuss about food. So what happened, that we really sat down, and first I explained what the difference between vegetarianism, what is the difference between, what is veganism actually. I really saw it in her face that she understands somehow, but at a certain point, and I was really pleased, she was taking out her notebook and she was taking notices of what kind of dish can she prepare for vegetarians and vegans. We all agreed that let's just cook vegan food because all the vegetarians can eat the vegan, which was quite nice. The next day, breakfast was just super. Zakuska, vineta was on the table, everyone was really happy and satisfied. Lunch was coming, and the same freezed soy patty was on the table for the vegans with the same side dish as the meat eaters got. Okay, I was just saying it's still in the story. And then after the dinner, where the dinner was soy patty and the same side dish as the meat eaters, I thought that it's time again to sit down and talk about food. And we discussed again. And what I did the following days, whether the food was good, whether it wasn't so good, I was just going into the kitchen after every meal and said, Marikaneni, wow, that was really delicious, thank you very much. And what do you prepare for dinner or for lunch? And we were discussing about all the dishes separately. What happened in 1 week with this 70-year-old lady? Actually, on the farewell dinner, she made soy stew. Soy stew, what she never prepared in her life. She'd come up with something really new, and it was so delicious that the vegans and this youngster of vegetarians and vegans didn't want to try it out because it was so realistic. They thought it's really made out of meat. And actually, it was soy, so don't worry. What happened with this Marikaneni? Marikaneni learned how to cook vegan. After, I think, 4 days, when I went to the kitchen and said that the vegan donut and the vegan crepe was just delicious, which was really delicious, she started to burst out in tears and said that in whispers, because, in village, these things are something to be ashamed of. She said to me that when she was young and when she was a child, she was really poor. So actually, dairy, eggs, and meat was not in their table. It was really hard to afford. So they actually, when she was a child, they eat a lot of vegan food. And she made a connection. That was the really fantastic thing, that a 7-year-old lady could make the connection between poor and vegan. She could realize that something she thought that it was really something bad actually is rewarding. After, I don't know, several years, but it is rewarding. Another story I want to tell you is about a group of kids. This summer I organized a camp for children and for teenagers. The topic was the selfie, and we reached it from various angles, not only digital, but not digital approaches as well. After 3 days of really intensive work, we just decided to go to a farm nearby. In this farm, there was no electricity, there was no tap water, and we decided that we provide the children free time. Free time in order they could do whatever they want to. Of course, there were some programs they could try it, but nothing was compulsory. And what happened? I was, cooking on this old stove, because we found an old stove there with, with woods, and I was cooking food for them, and then I was just realized that the kids are in one group, and they are wandering around, going here and there, and at a certain point they are grouping, they are doing something together. And I went a little bit closer, and I realized that these kids are collecting bones of animals. Of course, I was praising myself that how could I didn't make this environment to be more safe, but I just realized that I don't have now all the opportunities, so I just let them do whatever they want to. I really find it really disgusting, but I just didn't say anything. I was just watching and observing what this group of kids will do. What they did, they explored. They were collecting all kinds of bones, and little children like 6-year-old and grown-up teenagers like 15, 16-year-old, they were the same enthusiastically exploring the bones of animals. They were even smelly. They just touched the texture, they guessed which animal was it, which part of the animal is taking part of this bone, and they were just talking, and then someone, I don't know who, but they just find out that they should paint these bones. And they started to paint these bones. And I thought that, okay, this is a program. But no, it wasn't over. They made an installation out of it. All what they found on this farm, with no electricity, no tap water, really behind of the world, and they made a full installation out of it. I don't have now pictures with me, but I really hope that I will get some. These are the bones, really animal bones, really disgusting ones. And they were exploring it, just matching which and where to go. And here's the full installation. I don't know if it's visible, but you can see the scars, and you can see the horns, and you can see all sorts of things, what they found, and they did by themselves. So what happened here? This group of children got their freedom to do whatever they liked to. And they didn't do stupid things. Like, yes, they did, but no one was saying that you are stupid and don't do this. They just got their freedom to create. And what they did, actually no one was harmed, luckily. What they did is they made something really, really new. Within 2 hours. This was in 2 hours, and 17 children. Mixed age groups. So, what's the connection between this Marikanini, who is 70 years old, and what's the connection between this group of children who made something? Actually, they both have to solve a problem. Marikanini had to learn how to cook vegan. Children had to spend their spare time as they wished to. No one else could do it instead of them. No one else could cook instead of Marikanini, and no one else could spend free time instead of this group of children. The other thing, what they got, is the freedom of exploring, of doing mistakes, of texturing, of experimenting, of smelling, of just getting to know the things as much as they could, as much as they wanted. And what they came out, actually, the solution was something really creative. Marikoneni found the connection between being poor and being vegan, so she could put in a new context this terminology of her own, which was a very negative one. She could put in a new terminology, in a new context, where it wasn't a bad terminology either. And what this kid could do, this kid could use a bone for a totally different purpose. I think adults would have, I think we would just dig them, or just, I don't know, we just wouldn't realize that there exist bones. But what the kids do, they was just paying attention, and they were reusing the bones for a totally different purpose. So, I just have a question here. Just imagine if our schools would provide this freedom of exploring, of experimenting, and providing the freedom for thinking and solving their personal ways. I'm not answering this question. I hope everyone will answer it. Thank you very much for the attention.